isolated town in the center of the island. And I work for a community-based organization named Casa Pueblo. And we had to face vultures that wanted our gold, copper, and silver. And they wanted to do open pit mining in the island in the 1980s and 85 and 90. And you know, we defeat them. And now we can enjoy and we can guarantee to the people of Puerto Rico access to water, access to clean air, to the biodiversity, and to the opportunity to do sustainable uses. 17 years, we have been working in Vieques, the island that was used by the US Navy for 6 decades. They use another island, Culebra. They use another territory, Ceiba, Aguadilla, and multiple places in the island. Going through in Vieques, and you think about the depths that we have. Of course, the vultures, they want us to pay for money that was taken by a colonial government to invest. However, when you think about who owns to whom, ¿quién le debe a quién? Who owns to whom? You know, Vieques was a very productive island. A lot of agriculture, fisheries. And when you go to Vieques right now, most of the land is a refuge. The DOD transferred the land to Fish and Wildlife because the land cannot be transferred to the Department of Agriculture because it was polluted, it was contaminated. It cannot be used like before. So it's not only the vultures, it is that the US Congress, it is that the US Navy, it is that the US government owns Puerto Rico a lot because they use and they abuse many of our natural resources, and not only they were compromised during the practices, they're compromised for the future. If we want to plant, we can't. Fisheries, the productivity is 90% lower than before. If you think about toxic pollutants, bombs, unexploded bombs in Vieques, there's thousands of them oxidizing in the marine ecosystem. If you think about the site that was used by the Navy before, and for the past 10 years, 13 years have been designated as a Superfund site, it had been under federal control as well. But this is what they call cleanup process. What they call cleanup process is open burning, open detonation, pretty much like what the Navy was doing before. Even though you can do open detonation, you can do detonation in enclosed chambers, the technology is out there, but they have chosen to do the opposite. Not only that, if you think about what is going on in the middle of the range, this is Laguna Anones. Laguna Anones is right in the center of the former bombing range. It's the most contaminated place. Runoff products will go to the lagoon, and that lagoon was isolated from the Caribbean Sea. But in 2004, when it was already a Superfund site managed by EPA, a channel from Anones Lagoon was opened somehow to the Caribbean Sea. And the environmentalists, they call upon the Fish and Wildlife and EPA and DOD and the US Navy, and they refuse to shut down that channel that leach out all the pollution from the former bombing range into the ecosystem. That is called an environmental crime. An environmental crime that is going on still today, and that is a debt that have not been paid by the United States of America.